Welcome back to the Mustang Blueprint podcast. I am Aubrey.
And I'm Riley.
And today we are here with Todd from Bagels Brew. Todd, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm married. I've got two lovely daughters. I had was gifted with my first granddaughter a little over 2 years ago, and then my first grandson 3 weeks ago. So I'm a proud grandpapa.
Nice.
Really proud. They're close enough. They're within 2.5 hours of Marshall, so we get to see them, and that's great. Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start Bagels Brew?
28 years ago, this happened. I was working a different job, and for me, I didn't think that particular job was the right job for a decade-long career. I loved coffee. I had worked in some restaurants, so I had some hospitality experience. And I was driving down East College Drive one day, and the location where I'm at, he had the marquee sign out by the street, and it said, "Space for rent would make an ideal coffee shop." So I went home and told my wife that this could be magical, this could be a dream come true, and she's like, "What makes you think you can do this?" And we kind of went back and forth, and I kept pursuing it and learning a little bit more. And probably, 6 or 8 months later, we opened the doors. It'll be 28 years on the 9th of December of this year. So decades long, and it's fun every day. It's fun every day. So my passion for coffee and hospitality and having a chance to grow something that's mine, working for me and not working for somebody else, that was the drive for me.
That's awesome. So how would you say Bagels Brew is unique compared to other coffee shops or little restaurants around here in Marshall?
Well, Bagels Brew was the very first Marshall's original espresso drive-through. Like nothing else was in town. The McDonald's McCafe opened several years after I opened, so Bagels Brew was the original. So that's how we're unique. We serve every corner of the community. Like it doesn't matter if you're old or young or in between. People will ask me, who's your biggest customer? What's your biggest area of customers? And I say, everybody, because we need everybody. You can't pick one area, market to them, and think you're going to stay in business for 28 years. We just the locally owned small shop feel. Like we serve our stuff with love. I say that kind of as a joke, but we do. Our customers are our friends. Customers that have been coming in for 10 and 20 years, and they're our friends, and they're great customers.
How would you say, are you guys involved more with the community? Like, is there anyone locally that you work with to help Bagels Brew?
No. I haven't spent a nickel on advertising for years and years and years and years.
Okay.
Word of mouth. I think some people probably see us because we're on a busy street. Mm-hmm. But no, it's people come in for the first time, and after you come in for the first time, it's really easy to come in for the second and third and fourth and 100th. So no help. I have an amazing staff. I should throw that out there. I have people that work for me for years and years and years, a lot of college students, and then they graduate and they move on. Some graduate and stay. I couldn't do it without an amazing staff. Like there's so many moving parts and so much work to do. So I got to give a lot of credit to a really good staff.
What is the story behind the name? Like you said, you came up with the business on your own. How did you think of that name?
This is one of the questions I thought about because I read the questions, and I kind of remember coming up with it. For weeks or probably months, I hadn't a clue. I knew I was going to sell coffee. I wasn't sure about bagels, and then at some point when I was planning, I thought, bagels would be kind of fun, and it kind of goes with coffee. And I tell you, one day it just popped into my head. I don't remember exactly, but I do remember it popped into my head, and I said it a few times, Bagels and Brew, and I'm like, that's what I'm going to be selling, and it sounds pretty good.
Yep.
So that's how it came. Yep.
So if someone that's listening wanted to go in, what would you recommend for them to order? Like what's your go-to order?
Well, it's time of day. So if it's breakfast time,
Okay.
Several years ago, probably, and I didn't sell these forever. It's been about 8 or 10 years ago I started selling breakfast sandwiches. And I can confidently say we have the best breakfast sandwich, hands down, anywhere. We use the real stuff. We use real eggs and real bagels that are made in New York. I found a company that my bagels are manufactured in the Bronx. So they're an authentic New York style bagel, real aged cheddar cheese. So our breakfast sandwiches are bomb. They're just amazing. My espresso roaster, his name is Enzo. He immigrated from Italy about 40 years ago to Connecticut, and he brought the Italian knowledge of espresso roasting and blending to America. There's only a handful of roasters in America that use that style, and it's superb. Like, I'm using the best espresso I can find. I don't shop price. I don't look for anything other than what is the absolute best. And Enzo roasts and blends it. He's in business now with his 2 sons, but it's so any espresso drink. Like if you're into iced lattes or hot lattes or mochas, we got a ton of flavors. We have alternative milks, and our espresso and our breakfast sandwiches. And then lunch comes around, and we have great sandwiches as well. Great sandwiches, great salads. We have a grilled panini sandwich that we've been doing for just about since day one, and they're super popular. Most of the things on my menu are timeless. Like, I'm not switching out the menu very often because it's good, and people love it now, and they loved it 10 years ago, and they'll love it 10 years from now.
Yeah, that makes sense. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Kind of right, yeah.
But with that, would you say that bagels are your most popular item to sell, or like a sandwich that includes like bagels, like as the breading, or what do you say is the most popular to sell?
Yeah, and we came up with we called it the B&B special. That's, again, over 2 decades ago. And you can have it on bread as well. So we have people are like, yeah, bagels are a little too gnarly. I want bread. Fine, we have bread. But we sell more bagel sandwiches than we do sandwiches on bread. The grilled panini is made on an Italian bread, which is it's a bread that's a match made in heaven. So no bagel on the grill. Just so it goes back and forth a little bit, but. We sell a ton of bagels. Yep.
Good.
Who would you say, I know we talked about like you need all the customers, but who's like one regular that you would say that is going to be there every single day? Like, do you have a regular that you know? Like is
a regular person?
Yeah, like a person that comes in every day that you're going to see them every day.
We have a lot of them. I'm sorry, but there's
all of them?
Yeah, like a lot. I will. I don't know if the question is coming up, but I will. I'm going to skip to we have so many regulars. In fact, if you come in 2 or 3 times and we see you in our drive up, we're probably going to remember if you got a sausage breakfast sandwich on an Asiago cheese bagel and a 16-ounce mocha. And when we see you pull in, if we know you're consistent, we're going to start making that. And you're going to pull up to the window and we're going to hand it to you. And you're going to be like, wow, this is so. That's just that it's that extra service. You're not just, our customers aren't passing through their daily, or some people are once a week. Some people are, not everybody comes every day. An opening experience. 2 days before I was ready to open Bagels and Brew, so a lot of years ago, my beard wasn't as white as it was back then, or it's now. Anyway, Phil Dacey. He was an English professor and an amazing poet. And he stumbled in and he said, is this a coffee shop? I'm like, well, it's going to be, but we're not opening for a couple days. But we were doing a little training. He's like, can I get a cup of coffee? I said, yeah, Phil. Yeah, I didn't know his name. I said yes. Turned out that for, I don't know, 10 or 15 years, he was in many times a week, got his regular order all the time. And it started because he walked in my shop 2 days before I even opened and asked if he could get a cup of coffee. He was an amazing guy. He retired, moved away, and the world lost him to cancer, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. But my first customer came in 2 days before we opened, and he was an amazing guy.
That's a really unique story. I don't feel like a lot of businesses wouldn't have a story like that. You said he was a professor at SMSU, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you have students from SMSU that work there. Are
Yes.
there any other ways that you're involved with SMSU, or do you just get the student population and then they bring more students and all that to come to your shop?
I don't have any specifics, but I do know if a club or organization comes in and says, hey, will you support the, you want to buy a ticket to my raffle? Sometimes athletic people will ask about buying raffle tickets and such.
I wonder who did that.
I support. And my donating budget isn't huge, but very rarely will I say no. And sometimes it's gift certificates. Sometimes it's air pots of coffee. Sometimes it's a few bags of bagels for whatever. But so I support that way. And SMSU organizations come in and ask for that, as well as the entire community. Like there's a lot of people stopping in really, really often, phones ringing a lot, say, hey, will you help? Can you do this? And the answer is yes. And I don't write out huge checks to anybody, but I like to help in a small way. If it's a good organization, I help it.
And I feel like helping out in the community, like that is something that you can't get from a big chain, like having a local business that is willing to help. And I feel like that's something that I was going to ask. How are you feeling about the scooters coming in down the road, and what are you guys expecting from that?
So I will tell you that our game plan, our business plan, our goal won't change a bit. We do the same thing every day, every week, every year for decades. So it's not going to change. I drive by them, 3 times a day, and I see the progress, and I know they're opening. But as far as me changing because they're coming in, I won't. Big chain, I know they opened their first store in Omaha, Nebraska, about the same year I opened Bagels and Brew, and my little brother lives in Omaha. And as we chatted, he said, yeah, I'm stopping at a new place called Scooters. That was 28 years ago, and here now there's one down the street. I think they'll do fine. Like, they're a big chain. They're close to the highway. They'll draw people from the highway. I wish them the best. But my business plan is exactly the same today as it will be when they open. Yep.
Good, and I think all of your regulars and the business that you continue to get will never change. I think that'll keep you guys steady, and then hopefully with this, you'll get even more customers that'll come in and hopefully become regulars. But what would you say has been the biggest challenge? Like, in all of the 28 years, what has been the biggest challenge, whether starting it or just keeping the business going or keeping your drive for wanting to keep the business?
Yeah, all the things.
Yeah, yep, all of it.
All the things. You just answered my question. I can remember probably weeks or maybe months after I opened, I didn't know what I was doing very well. And I can remember walking to my little storeroom in the back where we have our refrigerator and freezer and a bunch of pantry stuff, standing in there and crying because I didn't know what I was doing. But I also knew I wasn't going to quit. So I kept trying, and I kept learning, and I kept getting better, and I kept learning and getting better. So that was a huge challenge. COVID was an interesting challenge. We had to close, but I have a drive-up window, and the drive-up window did not have to close. So for about a year and a half, I was drive-up only, and we made it. Like, we weren't super thriving, but we survived that year and a half. And since then, I'm not sure what changed, but since then, we've gotten busier and busier and busier. So that was kind of a crossroads of, it was kind of crappy, and now it's gotten super good. Through the years, there's been, I don't know any exact challenges, but it's all challenging. sell a ton of egg sandwiches. 2 years ago, eggs were $6 a dozen. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right now, coffee is going through the roof. So there's always the input costs and trying to make sure you cover that and still keep customers happy and keep prices reasonable. But it's so fun that even the challenges are fun. I walk in the door at 5:00 every morning. We close for some major holidays, but Bagels and Brew is closed like 6 or 7 days out of the year.
Wow.
So
That's impressive.
part
Yeah.
of the
I did not
deal
know that.
is
either.
people can count. There's other places that close on whatever, and you can count on Bagels and Brew. We're always open. We don't work on sliding down here. Anyway, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, Easter, that kind of stuff, boom, we're closed. But other than that, if it's a snowstorm and I can get to Bagels and Brew and I know it's going to be a horrible day of business, I go in because there's going to be a certain number of people that can get out that want my coffee or a sandwich. And so we go in, I open. We don't make excuses to not be there. We find ways to be there, to be open, to serve the community every day.
I think that says something about like the way you guys have a drive to stay open and always be there, and that's something that's very important. And I think that's something that is like very, in my opinion, very admirable about Bagels and Brew. And I just want to say that. But yeah.
And my staff is the same way. I have one of my employees lives probably a 20-minute walk. She walks to work every day. And if it's a blizzard, she's walking. She's there every day. And if we're only open for 4 hours because it gets so bad that there's just nobody on the street, she walks home 20 minutes in a blizzard. So again, we love what we do and we want to be there all the time. We just want to be open, serving the community all the time.
Yeah, that's excellent. I think it's great customer service. It's hard, I feel like, to find that some days, whether that's with small businesses or even chains, just finding some place where you feel welcome and that they actually want to serve you and have good customer service. With that, what would you say your hopes are for the future of the coffee shop and all that?
Well, personally, I'm trying to back away just a bit. I'm getting old and tired, so I want to back away a little bit. I want to spend a little more time with my grandkids. I want to spend a little more time in my fishing boat. I want to spend a little more time on the golf course. So I'm trying to, back away a little bit. But one of my big goals is to, as I say that, when I do seriously back away, whether it's finding somebody to run it or whether I sell the business, my goal is to find somebody that will keep it going the way it's going for more decades. Like, I'm not going to sell it to the highest bidder and walk away and take a big fat check because I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So the goal is to continue to serve the community forever. I want to wheel in there or walk in with my cane 25 years from now and see the same and get a great breakfast sandwich and a great mocha and have somebody else doing it. But whoever does it, I want it to be there. That's the community deserves it.
Mm-hmm. What is one thing that kind of scared you or surprised you when you got over here that may have been a little bit different?
You really need a car here. You really need to know how to drive and everything. It's like, I thought that I can just take order Uber and just like take bus, but it's not always that.